What's up, guys? AverageKiwiGuy here. How y'all doing? So my sort of New Year's thing that I wanted to do for the channel was sort of start up a little more, doing a little more game review stuff. You know, checking out new betas, new stuff coming out, all the rest of it, and kind of doing these average reviews. Just from someone who's not the greatest at games, but just likes to play them just for fun. I'm not the pro player type guy. I'm just that run-of-the-mill guy that sits in the middle of the squad and does, just normal and just plays it for fun. So I thought I'd start off with that, and I thought I would start off with something that's a little out of my wheelhouse. I don't normally play fighting games, but the Dragon Ball Z FighterZ, or Fighters, depending on how you guys want to say it. I've heard some people say Fighters. I say FighterZ, but whatever. I checked out the beta for that. And I don't normally play fighting games. It's not normally my thing. The closest thing I've played to a fighting game recently is For Honor, I guess, if you want to class that as a fighting game. Really the last true fighting game that I really got into, I think, was like Tekken 3. So if you're looking for like the juicy fighting game freaking lingo, all this stuff about the small little bits of fighting games, the techniques and stuff like that, go somewhere else. This ain't for you. This is like just for someone who sat down, just wanted to play a cool Dragon Ball Z game, have some fun, blasting things, fighting, all the rest of it, and learning the character. Like, I don't want to be there, go out there and be a complete bum about it, but just sitting down and having a good time, not being too competitive. I have no interest in being competitive with video games. So this is, if you're into that stuff, probably not the review for you. But if you're just an average guy, average person who just wants to see if you want to buy the game, we'll check it out. So like I said, I'm not a big fighting game person, but I love Dragon Ball Z. Absolutely love Dragon Ball Z. It's just since I was a kid, really loved it. And when I saw at E3, when they just Xbox, I think it was on the Xbox panel, they showed off Dragon Ball Z Fighter Z or whatever. I loved the sort of the art style, the 2D fact. It kind of reminded me of some of the older like Game Boy Advance sort of. I think Game Boy Advance, Game Boy sort of Dragon Ball Z sort of fighting games. I haven't gotten into like the 3D Dragon Ball Z ones that are like, I don't know, like PlayStation and stuff like that. I never got into those, but this one looked kind of fun, and it looked like it had the art style that I liked. Obviously they have all the characters that I like, so I was like, I might give this a go. I might see what this is like. And the beta came up, and I was like, you know what? Let's go. Let's try this out. I know I don't normally play fighting games, but let's see. And I gotta say, I had fun. I liked the whole, like I said, the art style of it all. The voices and stuff, you can have both Japanese or English voices, and I think most of the English voices were like from the actual anime as well, so that was kind of cool. And I'd say the Japanese ones are too. So I really liked that. Some of the little intro conversations that they have with each other is quite cool. Like, obviously Goku and Vegeta, they had their own Kakarot and all this stuff. So that was kind of cool. And when like when Nappa meets Frieza, Frieza's like, "Hey, why don't you leave Vegeta and come work for me?" Stuff like that. It was kind of cool. It just the little things that add to like. You could have just made them load up and say, "Ready, fight." But no, they actually made it something, a little interesting at the start. And even the end, if you win, you get a little thing about, I think if Vegeta wins and, Goku's on his team, he's like, "Damn, I could have won that without Kakarot. Like, damn it." That sort of thing. So I like that. I like that a lot. The actual fighting, though, I liked it. I thought it was very cool. I think there's a lot of aerial stuff. it's got a bit of, you know, like every fighting game, you kind of have to get used to the actual, you know, get the combos down. You know, you got to try and not button mash. You know, I'm a little guilty of that sometimes. Like when I get really deep, like really kind of panicked, I'll start mashing. Like I got to get this combo, and like forgetting that I probably should just go more basic. But what I got at the start, you know, was a lot of people kind of spamming the, you know, ki blasts or energy blasts, keeping at a distance, you know, and I had to kind of learn to get over that, which I did. And then the other thing was a lot of people using the charges. There's a lot of flying and stuff in this game, and you can charge down and like keep going at someone. You can easily get overwhelmed. And I think that's like any fighting game. Any fighting game you can do that, especially if you're quite new like I am. And you don't know the counters, and you don't know the, you know, the stuff to get out of it. It's a bit of a learning curve, and it's a little bit of like, you can have a little bit of frustration there. But the problem with the beta is that really the only practice thing they had was these battle training things, and they were more like scenarios. They got you to do the basic stuff, but you only did it like maybe once or twice, and that was it. So. And once it was done, it was done. Like, you could go back and do it again, but I felt like I would rather it, you know, go into a practice mode, set up the, you know, the training dummy to do whatever I want, and then me just practicing it over and over again. Hopefully that is in the main game. Because I think every fighting game needs that. You know, a way to just keep practicing that combo, keep practicing the, you know, the blocking, guarding, and stuff like that, just so you get that down. But the beta didn't have that, so it was a little tough at the start. But once I got into it, I started learning like ways like, okay, when the guy does this, I should do that, and, you know, so it just takes a little bit of time. But I mean, so the way it works is you get 3 characters per player, and you can switch them in and out depending on, you know, I think it's like a little bit of a cooldown on each one, and you can also use them as like an assist. So like you can be fighting along, and then if you click like L1 or L2, I was using the PlayStation, someone would pop out and just like blast them or something, depending on which character you've got in your team. So you sort of sort out your team beforehand, and then you go in. So that was kind of cool. I liked how I could, you know, swap out. Okay, Goku's getting a little low, I'm gonna bring out Vegeta. Vegeta's getting a little low, okay, I'll bring out Gohan. So that was kind of cool. I liked that a lot. The backgrounds and stuff, pretty, you know, just your typical, you know, Dragon Ball Z backgrounds. They weren't like Injustice or anything where they had, you could actually interact with them. You could like knock people into stuff, and they would fall down and do extra damage and stuff like that. None of that stuff in here. It's very basic. The only thing that really comes into play with kind of like background stuff is, I think if you do a heavy kick to finish off someone, they'll go flying off the screen into like a rock formation or a building or something in another background, another actual arena. So, and then that arena switches up, so you get a new background scene, which is kind of cool. And then obviously you have like supers and stuff. So obviously you can have Kamehameha waves. You've got Destructo Discs, Final Flash, stuff like that. So the stuff that you expect the Dragon Ball Z characters to have, it's got it. So I was quite happy with that. They look very cool when they go off. When you get that combo down, it looks very good. Some of them are even linked into just normal punching combos, and you can just get a quick Kamehameha wave off. I liked it a lot. There's power levels, so like energy chi levels that you can build up as you fight, or you can actually charge up, like that sort of thing with typical Dragon Ball Z stuff, which I dig. I quite like that a lot. And you kind of have to time that too. If you're gonna use it, you have to time it. But a lot of the time, you get the energy levels just off plain old fighting, so I wouldn't worry about it. And then the super moves come in, which is like a more charged up Kamehameha. And then again, like, I think you can add, so I think a Kamehameha takes one energy level off, and then you can do like a more upgraded, charged up version of it. And then there's something called a meteor attack, which is like the ultimate. There's like an ultimate, and for Goku it was like quick transformation into Super Saiyan 3, punch, you know, zip zip zip, punch, you know, punch the your enemy, and then as he was doing it, he's charging up his Kamehameha, and he just blasts the guy. You know, he just blasts whoever you're versing, which is pretty cool. And if you do that to finish off an enemy, it'll have this cool sort of destructive finish thing at the end, which is either kind of like a landscape shot, like a zoomed out shot with just a massive Kamehameha wave going off, or the typical like planet Earth and a Kamehameha wave going coming out of the Earth, which is kind of cool. I like that. When you get that going off, it's pretty awesome. And also, two supers can go at the same time. Two sort of ults can go at the same time and meet each other and do the whole, you know, equal, like I've got more power sort of thing. That was kind of cool too. If you can time it right, which is tricky, especially when you're new. So you can use like a super to counter a super, which I thought was kind of cool. So yeah, like the fighting, I enjoyed. I think there's a lot more sort of like the little tidbits and stuff that I'd have to get down if I really did get into this quite a bit. Like any fighting game, you got to find like the characters you like. And with this one, with, you know, taking in 3 characters, you kind of got to know at least 3. And then obviously you probably have the one that you like the most, so then you decide where in the order you put them. So yeah, so you got to manage your sort of like your heroes or your fighters that you use, which I liked. I think that was kind of a cool thing to add in. So roster-wise, we didn't get all the characters, so they want to keep some in reserve there. So we had Goku, obviously. Just Super Saiyan 1 Goku, let's say. Vegeta the same. Adult Gohan, Frieza, Kid Buu, Cell, Piccolo, Krillin, Nappa, Android 18, and Beerus. So kind of a nice little group there. It wasn't too bad. You when you did the training stuff too, you also got to play as Teen Gohan, so like Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, which was quite cool. I actually liked him the most. I actually liked playing with him the most. I kind of got into him, you know, when I did the training stuff. And I was kind of disappointed that I couldn't go and use him in the actual, you know, matchmaking. I was like, damn, you could actually play him there. Why can't I play him here? You know, it just didn't kind of make sense to me. But, you know, that stuff's already programmed in, and then they can't just do it. So I was like, all right, you got to keep some stuff hidden away. So it was a decent little group there. Each one kind of has its own thing. Like, I found Krillin was definitely a more up front. Like, he didn't have too much range. He liked to be up close. He had, like, solar flares and stuff, which you need to be semi-close for. Some of them were a little more, you know, further back. Some were a little more further back, so you could keep at a bit of a range and then dart in. So each one would definitely, you know, you find the ones you like with your own playing style. Hopefully when the full roster comes out, I would, you know, be able to find all the guys that I like and then put them in the same party. So when you actually come in, you get put into a lobby and you get sort of put into this, I don't know, social area, where it has all these little different areas and stuff like that. And most of them were blocked off. We couldn't actually get to them. But they're all themed around different parts of Dragon Ball Z and also Dragon Ball too. There was actually a red ribbon sort of tower with snow and all that on the ground. And that took me straight back to like weekday mornings before school watching Dragon Ball. Like that was like, okay. I know that one. Like the time that's been since then, Jesus. I quite like that. The 2 areas that we got was the practice side and the actual arena, the actual matchmaking stuff. There was like, you know, leaderboard stuff, there was replay stuff, there was news and all that, but the main areas were just those 2. And you get to pick a little, you know, social guy that you run around as. I picked Kid Buu. I thought that was kind of cool. But yeah, you got to actually, you know, sort of roll around and you could put up these little signs and stuff like, hey, who wants to fight me and all that. Kind of like tags, or sprays from Overwatch or emotes and stuff like that. It was kind of that way. all Dragon Ball Z themed, which was kind of cool. So yeah, you kind of pick your guy that you want, and then you can do different colors and stuff. And then you got to go and talk to different people to do different things, like the matchmaking or the practice and stuff like that. The only matchmaking stuff we got was ranked and casual, and you got to pick the competition, like, you know, same as me. You know, do I want to like verse someone who's a little stronger or the same as me? There's also the connection quality. Like, do you want to verse a guy who's lagging all over the place, or do you want to, you know, someone, you know, of high quality connections? And then match completion rate. So, do you want someone who bugs out, or I think that's what it means. Like, or do you want someone who's, you know, good and stays the entire time? Or, I don't know, maybe it's to do with rematches or something. Pretty much you could say, like, same as me, anything goes, you know, all that stuff. So, you can kind of pick how you want to do it. Yeah, it was your pretty stock standard fighting, you know, multiplayer stuff. The practice mode. So, like I said, the only thing we got was battle training, which taught you the basics, but I found the scenarios that they did, the AI that you went up against, one was very weak, but some of the things that they asked you to do, they didn't, I don't know, it wasn't that great explaining. There wasn't combo stuff actually on the screen, like what buttons to push and stuff. You actually had to go to the pause menu and see that, which I was like, why isn't this just on the screen? Like, any practice mode should have all the buttons that you need to do on the screen. Like, I want to do this combo, display that. That's basically what it should be. And then also display what buttons you are pushing, so you can see what you're doing wrong. So none of that was there, which was a little disheartening. And then the scenarios, once you killed, like, the dummies that the AIs that you're versing are actually, you can actually defeat them. So once they're defeated, the scenario's over. You got to start back up and do it again. Like, you got to go back to the guy, do the, you know, redo the thing, and away you go. I was like, why doesn't it just say restart? Or why doesn't these guys not die until I do the actual training? And the amount they made you do some of the stuff, I don't felt was enough. Like, to get your basics down, you need to repeat this stuff a little more. So hopefully, the more expanded practice mode, when we get the full game, you'll actually be able to do all this stuff. Especially, you know, picking the character that I want to go and practice with, picking whoever I want to verse, setting what they can do, like, you know, constantly doing energy blasts. Do I constantly want them to be guarding? Do I constantly want them to be doing whatever? Like, that's what I want, so I can practice the stuff that I want to practice, and then have the button stuff up and all the rest of it. Hopefully that the more expanded practice does that. But the stuff that we saw, I don't know. It was good to teach you basic stuff, but it was more like scenarios and not actual training. I would have liked actual training. Then kind of the stuff that was a little bit, I don't know. It's kind of getting a little bit nitpicky, but some of the actual menus and stuff like that are a little clunky. The the servers and stuff, the connections and all that, you know, they were dropping all the time. Like, I lost a couple of fights because, you know, they just dropped, you know, so the fight doesn't matter. So it's like, oh, that was actually a really good fight, and it just drops. And they have been saying they've had a lot of server issues. I think that's just because they didn't expect so many people to come in. So hopefully they get that all sorted before launch. One thing I will say is some of the matchmaking menu stuff, mainly when you accept the matchmaking with the fight that you're going into. So when you accept it, there's like a minute clock time to when you can actually say yes or no. Thing is, once you've accepted it, you're stuck in that thing for a minute unless the other player says, yes, I'll fight this person. So it was like, some people, you know, they go away, make a sandwich, and then just leave matchmaking going, thinking, oh yeah, it's going to be a couple minutes. Once it did, it took a long time sometimes to get matches, which is something they're going to have to work on. But you would be stuck in that damn menu, and you couldn't do anything. It was literally locked, like this person, like waiting on other player for basically an entire minute, which, you know, when you're constantly doing this, and it happens quite a lot, it got to the point where I was like, man, this is just stupid. I should be able to cancel it. I should be able to come out and say, no, I'm cancel. You know, when it gets to about 30 seconds or so, it's like, okay, clearly they're not there. They're not there. So let's cancel it. Let's move on to the next one. So hopefully they can tweak a few things there. Maybe just add a cancel button there. I don't know. Just some stuff that's just would make it a little bit easier there. There was a little bit of lag in places depending on connection stuff. You know, people's internet quality, things like that. There's some fights where you see like, you know, lag or something like game behind or something. There was some where I felt like my character was freezing up and I couldn't do anything, and I was doing the moves properly. It's just, it felt like it was lagging all over the place, and it wasn't my connection, because my connection's like freaking fiber. So I don't know, I think it's like some server things. I don't know. This stuff I think they can all work out before the actual release. So, yeah. But overall, no, I think I had a good time, and I think I might actually pick this up, which is strange for me because I don't normally play fighting games. But I think the Dragon Ball Z side of it really, you know, kind of appeals to me. They seem to have a decently good amount of roster, you know, different characters and different versions of characters, as most Dragon Ball Z things are, you know, depending on what Super Saiyan they are or what age they are. But yeah, no, I had a good time. I had a good time with it, which was, you know, like I said, I don't normally play these fighting games. But yeah, would I recommend it? I think if you're into Dragon Ball Z, I think if you've got a tolerance for fighting games, I would say yeah. There is a lot of games coming out, though, in the next sort of couple of weeks. So I think set your priorities. I wouldn't say that it's like a must thing to have. For me, I'm looking at it and going, I may have to pick it up a little later, because just with Monster Hunter World, and there's like Shadow of the Colossus and all that coming out, it's pretty jam-packed the next couple of weeks. So I think it'll probably be like a later on thing when stuff dies down. But that's kind of the beauty of fighting games, is that they normally stick around for a while, and there's normally a community around them, and you can sort of come and go as you want. So I think it's like, if you really love Dragon Ball Z and you love fighting games, I'd say yeah, pick it up. I think it's really cool. Like I said, with the nuances of fighting games, like the, you know, the certain frames that, you know, give you like immunity and stuff, like I don't know them, okay? I don't know that stuff, so maybe check out someone who really does know that if you are into that stuff. But for me, like, I would probably watch some tournaments of this stuff. I think it's kind of cool. It does get a little busy on the screen sometimes, but I think just for the sheer fact that I like Dragon Ball Z and stuff, I think it would be kind of entertaining to watch some really good players go at it. But yeah. Alright guys, that's it for us. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.
Bye.